Thank you, Pragya. So now I'll be reading my poem. It's called A Historical Place. As I said, this is a journey of places. So in the first two poems, we saw how places were not a physical space but more a concept. And then, we have seen some places. And now I'm going to take you to a historical place. It happened in 7th grade. It happened because I had to write an essay on a trip to a historical place. It happened because I hadn't been to any such place that I could write about. Previous schools, towns, and the houses where I lived were all ruled out. I realized that places where I lived sadly could not be termed historical. I was unsure about being happy that nothing about me was monumental. It was the first time I got excited by the idea of creating history. Very soon I concluded that the excitement from ideas of doing something are plain vanilla and so temporary. It was then when I toyed with the idea of creating a historical place and wondered if that effort could be termed as a rigged act. That was indeed the first time when I contemplated writing a lie that appeared like a fact. It was the first time I used a comic book to gain knowledge about a place. Hey, a historical place. It dawned to me that deep observations can unravel finer details about content even from a comic book, no matter what your parents tell. I chose Mandu, a historical town in central India from 11th century from a comic book that narrated the love story of a queen and her king. Through the drawings I learned about her palace, its pillars, queen's fondness for the Narmada river, and that Mandu was located on a hill. I had seen enough hills. I had seen the roads on the hills. Roads are curvaceous on the hills, and they can be called snaking through the forest. Forests also, I had seen none. But I imagined they must have a lot of trees. So I decided to create them. I described all the nameless trees that I remembered from the windows of the buses and trains. I had watched the sunlight filtering through their leaves. I had seen their shadows and how the shadows moved in slight winds. I created my trip to Mandu. My dad had a light blue scooter, so I made us go there in a light blue car. I had seen waterfalls in the ads of Little Soap, so filled in for a picnic when we stopped at the waterfall. We ate all the food I wanted to eat, but had not tasted yet. I described tracing the queen's footstep, her leaning on the curved pillars and her weight, her walk on the terrace at the sunrise, then to meet the king, her running down the stairs, and her stroll on riverside. I wrote about a desired trip to be made in the future like it had occurred in my past. I wrote about how short it seemed and how sad I felt when it all came to an end. I aced the essay, and A+ I got. That I never had been to Mandu wasn't anybody's thought. I learned that knowing was more important than going to a place. It happened in 7th grade. In the body of non-fiction, a fictional soul was caked. Since then, I have seen innumerable monuments, ruins, and ancient sites, and I often wonder if modern civilization is apt of leaving any evidence of our existence or history behind. We have stopped working on things that need effort and are worked on to last long. Construction sites, markets, buildings, and malls are everywhere. Housescapes are on the silhouette of the horizon. Decimated forests on the rise. Landmarks have shrunk and gone. Now visiting places where I lived in the past is like meeting a stranger, bereft of milieu in my memories, drastically evolved. They are no longer the places I once had known. Thank you. share video poetry on Hiroshima next. And after that, it will be, I think, Mike. Hiroshima, a humbling journey. There was a mark of a dark shadow on white stairs. That day a man sat there on the banks, watching the river. In the flash of radiation intense, he vaporized, leaving a black, dark stain of humanity behind. Buddha still meditates, molten, melted, with a disfigured face. I tried capturing the assaulted emotion from his face, but all my efforts could catch was only a reflected light. On the display are before and after pictures of a building called Adon, a story of subtle pain, throbbing in a quiet. Still, intense, sad of what it became and what it was. A silent witness, a silent victim, a dilapidated leftover ruins plight. On the display, the watch whose heartbeat stopped at 8:15 a.m. August 6, 1945. Roof tiles united. Copper and silver fused and blended. The ceramic pots melted to never get separated. Tricycle dripped, sweated. Picture of its little rider who also melted. But the clothes didn't melt. They ripped apart. Stuck to school children's burned, sticky skins with no respite. The old river has seen the birth of new buildings. Nearby, there's an undaunted flame of peace which came into being through a war. A story of pain, comfort, loss, and love. Of hopelessness and redemption. Of a promise to hold. Hold hands of each other, boundaries apart, for we all are a part of this culture. Wherever you see, however you see. A homage to all individuals, lost, fragmented, departed, deleted. Whatever the reasons were, whatever the reasons are, none of them are strong enough to wage a war. This is not just any story. This is our story, which needs to be heard and heeded, so that we do not create skeletons all over again. We are one big family spread across the globe. We are not small to join hands and say, we will not be a part of another inferno. We refuse to be manipulated or mitigated. And now, the concluding poem of our program, and I will invite Mighty Mike McGee again. Can I call you Mighty Mike McGee?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let's conclude the program with your poem, and I'll have a small announcement after that, so Mike.
Folks, before I read this poem, I would like to ask everyone to acknowledge the translation work that Anshu has done and that everybody in the room has done tonight. Thank you all so much for your I translated one poem. We did this project many years ago. I translated one poem from Swedish to French, and I don't know either language. It was part of an experiment, and it was fun. It was absolutely fun, and I had a Swedish to French dictionary and a French to Swedish, and it was crazy, it was wild, and it was awful. The translation was horrible. But it's difficult work, and so thank you so much for doing that. It is just wild to hear my poem in Hindi, and just remarkable. This poem that I'm about to read to you is an ekphrastic poem. It was inspired by a mural inside the San Jose Museum of Art by Julia Chang, and that mural is called In the Valley of Heart's Delight. And this poem is called Ode to the Delightful Hearts of the Valley. From this basin, between these ranges of hills made for feet and hooves, I've seen the sun at every angle, at every moment of the day. I've seen moon rise up from every possible hill. This goes to impossible beauties. Even when I was unprepared with eyes closed or overtly selfish and unblinking. In my time here, under the newest trees, in this land of graveyard orchards and industries that fed 3 generations of my people, keeping my mom and her mom struggling to keep us from struggling, I too have worked for a paycheck at every hour of the day. In all of the seconds that come in a year, there are none I have yet to laugh in. This goes to those who've made me laugh. In every city this valley cradles. This goes to a family that taught me to worry less about money and to make laughter instead. I miss the folks that I've made it to 4 a.m. with. The sunrise set, protectors of the block, guardians of my bookshelves on 2nd and Empire, 6th and San Salvador, 5th and Julian, all the way north 1st Street. Maybe I was the mayor of Alviso, all 9 acres of it. The love child of Sunnyvale and Santa Clara. Campbell's loitering layabout. I could write odes to my crush on Milpitas. And Los Gatos. I've heard of you. This goes to the protectors of Nancy Lane and the East Side. I still worry about you. To the living history at Alum Rock and King. To the cherry blossoms of Japantown. To midnight at the Midtown Safeway. To leaving and always coming back. To the children who will find love in this valley, in between falling into industry, their own children, and struggle, and balance. Like our 4 impossible seasons, light summer, summer, autumn, and extreme autumn. This goes to the streets in all of our cities, and to the people who use them to get somewhere, but especially to those who the streets got to first. To those who push everything they own in front of them, and yet have nothing to speak of. This too is for you. This goes to the valley I hope to die in. If only this body would generate enough ash to cover all the streets I've lived on. There is no perfection in perpetuity. Even a noble ancient industry of fruits and vegetables will be paved over for something easier. The sun shines brighter here, though, to see the impossible beauties. They come in glimpses, sometimes in a breeze of mock orange blossoms, in how our motherboards help us put together the right combination of emoji to let the best person we know how much we love them, or how much we love orange sauce, laughter, sunlight, and whatever us is. This is for the thousands of seconds we've spent together here, yesterday, and tonight. Thank you all. Thank you for filling our valley with your delightful hearts. Thank you, Anshu. You look great. Johri, everybody.